Hawaii Congressional Representative Jill Tokura recently held a series of town halls across the state in every county, addressing concerns about the Trump administration's actions, discussing policies affecting Hawaii, and answering questions from community members. She joins us now with more. Aloha and good morning, Representative.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for stopping by with us.
Thanks for having me.
What did you learn from constituents in these town halls?
Well, first of all, we had an overwhelming response. We held town halls in Pahoa, in Kona, Kapa'a, and Maui, Waianae, Wahia. We've been everywhere across the state. We're not done yet, and literally hundreds and hundreds came out at each venue, and people are scared. People are frightened right now of the most very basic social safety nets that they rely on to keep a roof over their head and food on the table. Seniors worried about Social Security, concerns about basic things like healthcare, Medicaid, and SNAP. And at the core of all of this, a concern and fear and anger, if you will, about our democracy, the state of our democracy here in the United States, as people take a look at all of the executive orders and every morning you wake up. What has the Trump-Musk administration done today to really tear down our Constitution and the rule of law? And that came out loud and clear from the hundreds of people who came out to our town halls.
What was your message to these residents?
Lean in, fight back, resist. Legally, of course, civilly, of course, but we cannot allow this to be inevitable. You know, that's what we are doing, whether it's through the courts, whether it's through legislation, whether it's through speaking on the floor, letters to the administration, really pounding on them to make sure that we both follow the law, but more importantly, that we take care of our people. These indiscriminate cuts to these departments, funding freezes, they're hurting everyday folks, getting the help that they need, literally jobs for our students and our people. And we have got to make sure that we continue to push back against this. And we tell everyone, you've got friends and family across the country. Remind them they have a job and an obligation to call their members of Congress as well. Demand town halls, demand action against what has really been, you know, an encroachment on the lives and the well-being of everyday people.
Everyday people here, the biggest concern generally is cost of living.
Yes.
How do you think the Trump administration's economic policies will impact us here in Hawaii?
You know, these unnecessary trade wars that he has started literally with our allies and our adversaries, they're going to hurt the cost of goods here in Hawaii. And look, the price of eggs were already too expensive right here at home. The things that cost, you know, to put food on your table, clothes on your children, education, all of the different things that we need every single day were already expensive. The materials to build houses, and we are in a massive rebuilding effort right now on Maui. And so these trade wars that he's starting, they're gonna make things way more expensive. We're already starting to see a slight slowdown in terms of visitors because people on the mainland are worried about if they'll have jobs and if they'll have money to be able to come to Hawaii. Canadian visitors are mad, and they are our #2 foreign, visitors that we have here already. And so this is definitely going to hurt businesses here in Hawaii. It's going to make costs more expensive for our people. That's why, again, even in terms of tariffs and this trade war, we have to fight back. We are fighting back because it's going to really make life even harder for folks here in Hawaii. And the last thing I want to see is people having to make a really tough decision, that impossible one, and decide to move out of state.
One of the big economic drivers here in the state is the University of Hawaii. They have a $36 million federally funded shortfall as far as research goes. You recently attended a forum there. What did you learn?
You know, I really appreciate President Hensel and her team holding these forums. And so I just went there to listen and to hear and to learn. They actually had over 1,000 people that were actually watching live stream as well as the in-person crowd that was there. And you had very basic questions. Their ability to do research without the fear of censorship, or what should they be looking at? Concern for their foreign students as well, whether or not ICE would be entering classrooms. You heard concerns about the money that's been frozen, potentially lost. Could we supplant some of those funds to keep people doing critical research, working engaged, and quite frankly, here at home, right? These are opportunities to make sure our keiki can both learn and work and find a career and a future here for themselves right here in Hawaii. And so, again, just like the town halls, such basic questions, given that this administration is really cutting at just the very foundation, whether it's of our democracy or, in this case, education, research, which is so important to us here in Hawaii. UH is our gateway institution, right? It's the door for so many people to have a better life, a real career. And so the questions, again, were just basic on how they're going to keep the lights on, how we're going to protect our students, how we're going to be true to education, culture, and what we seek to teach here in the islands.
You're headed back to Washington in about a week. Congress is controlled in both
days, unfortunately.
couple days,
Yes.
okay. Congress is controlled by Republicans in both houses. What are congressional Democrats working at to further your agenda?
You know, again, it is about bringing the message that we are hearing at the town halls back to DC. That so much of the concerns are just very basic kitchen table issues. People are scared. You have got so much chaos going on that it is literally impacting our ability to keep roofs overhead, food on the table. People right now even just feeling safe. I can't tell you how many people have stopped me, even at Long's or at different meetings, asking if they should be holding on to their paperwork, if they should even be traveling out of country. Real fear. I've got folks that are considering signing off on privacy release forms. So if something happens to them out of country, we can quickly react to the situation. We've got to take not just that message, we have got to take action back to DC so that the majority that's in power now, the Republicans, understand that what they are doing, they are complicit by not standing up to Trump. It's hurting people. It's impacting lives. It's causing fear in everyday people. And that is absolutely not right. That is not what we're elected to Congress to do. And so we're going to go back. We're going to push hard. They're going to start to talk about appropriations. We're going to make sure things like SNAP and food money, that they're not on the chopping block. We're going to make sure that when they put more money into defense, by the way, which we're going to probably be talking about next week, and I'm on armed services, that it actually goes to military families, you know, and the service members that are struggling right now, versus looking at just the war tools and lethality that they want to spend the money on. Let's put it back to the people. Let's get back to those kitchen table issues, and that's what I'm going to be focused on.
All right, Representative Jill Tokuda, thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. Safe travels to you back to DC.
Mahalo.